Can you believe it? On June 1, 2025, Ukraine stunned the world with a daring UAV attack that struck right at the heart of Russia. Operation Spiderweb, meticulously planned for over 18 months, destroyed dozens of strategic aircraft worth a staggering $7 billion, leaving Russia reeling. How did Ukraine manage to bypass Russia's advanced air defense systems? And where will this lead the war? Let's dive into this jaw-dropping event. Operation Spiderweb, or Operatsija Pavutina in Ukrainian, is a tactical masterpiece by Ukraine's Security Service, SBU. Planned for over a year and a half, the operation earned its name because of its vast reach, spanning 5 different regions of Russia, from the Arctic to Siberia. The secret lies in how Ukraine smuggled 117 UAVs into Russia. They were hidden in containers or wooden cabins on trucks, disguised as civilian cargo. These trucks were positioned near airbases, just a few kilometers from their targets, before launching the UAVs for a surprise attack. What's incredible is that these UAVs, mostly FPV remote-controlled through a first-person view, were operated using Russia's own telecommunications network, possibly even with just a cell phone. By launching from close range, Ukraine outsmarted Russia's air defense radar systems, which are designed to detect fighter jets or ballistic missiles, not small UAVs flying low under 100 meters. The attack targeted 5 of Russia's strategic airbases: Belaya in Irkutsk, Olenya in Murmansk, Dyagilevo in Ryazan, Ivanovo-Severny, and Ukrainka in Amur. Some of these bases are over 0 kilometers from Ukraine's border, equivalent to the distance from New York to Colombia. A total of 117 UAVs were deployed, striking simultaneously at strategic bombers and early warning aircraft, the crown jewels of Russia's Air Force. The main targets were strategic bombers like the Tu-95, Tu-22 M3, Tu-160, and the A-50 early warning aircraft. According to the SBU, over 40 aircraft were destroyed or damaged, including 27 Tu-95s, 4 Tu-160s, 2 Tu-22 M3s, and possibly 1 A-50. Independent sources confirm at least 12 aircraft were destroyed, with 7 at Belaya and 5 at Olenya, including an An-12 transport plane. These aircraft are the backbone of Russia's long-range strike and nuclear deterrence capabilities. The damage from Operation Spiderweb is absolutely shocking. Ukraine estimates the total cost at $7 billion, equivalent to 1/10 of Russia's annual defense budget. Imagine this. That's nearly enough to build 2 One World Trade Centers, America's tallest skyscraper. Here's the breakdown of the damage. Each drone used in Operation Spiderweb cost just $400. The entire operation, including logistics, may have cost less than $50,000. The estimated damage inflicted on Russia? Over $7 billion. A single A-50 radar plane alone costs roughly $350 million. 4 Tu-160 heavy strategic bombers worth about $1 billion. 2 Tu-22 M3 supersonic long-range strategic bombers worth $200 million. 27 Tu-95 MS bombers, around $1.3 billion. Infrastructure damage estimated at $4 billion. These aircraft were not in flight. They weren't maneuvering. They were sitting duck-sparked on their home turf, completely unprotected. More importantly, Russia only had about 118 strategic bombers before the attack. Losing 34% of this force is a massive blow, especially since the Tu-95, Tu-22 M3, and A-50 are no longer in production. This severely weakens Russia's long-range strike and nuclear deterrence capabilities, making it nearly impossible to replace these lost assets. Evidence from satellite imagery and UAV footage reveals the extent of the devastating damage. At the Belaya airbase, video captured a UAV precisely striking 6 aircraft, including 1 Tu-95 engulfed in flames. At Olenya, images show 2 Tu-95 smoking and an An-12 transport plane completely incinerated. Russia tried to protect its aircraft by placing tires on their wings as decoys, but this tactic utterly failed against the pinpoint accuracy of Ukraine's UAVs. Russia's initial response was a deafening silence. State media, like Channel 1, devoted just 40 seconds to the story, claiming that attacks on Ivanovo, Ryazan, and Amur were repelled, and only acknowledging damage in Murmansk and Irkutsk. However, pro-war Russian bloggers called it Russia's Pearl Harbor, reflecting panic and confusion. Soon after, Russia retaliated with missile and UAV strikes on Kharkiv, injuring at least 6 people, including a child. The Russian Ministry of Defense claimed it destroyed Ukraine's UAV production and storage facilities and shot down 316 Ukrainian UAVs in 24 hours, with 205 outside the Special Military Operation Zone. Additionally, Russia joined the second round of peace talks in Istanbul on June 2, but rejected Ukraine's proposal for a 30-day ceasefire, signaling that tensions remain sky-high. And here's the critical part: none of these counterattacks could undo the damage Ukraine inflicted. Operation Spiderweb was a success, a complete success. And here's what makes it even more profound. It rewrote the playbook for modern warfare. What Ukraine proved is that war is no longer just about brute force. It's about strategy, creativity, and information warfare. You don't need a billion-dollar arsenal. You need time. You need access. You need ideas. And you need the will to execute them. Why was Ukraine able to pull off such a daring attack without Russia knowing? First, Ukraine's camouflage tactics were incredibly sophisticated. The UAVs were hidden in containers or wooden cabins, transported by civilian trucks, and launched from positions just a few kilometers from their targets. For example, at Balea, a truck parked 6 kilometers from the base launched UAVs, catching Russian radar off guard. Second, Russia's air defense systems, like the S-400, are designed to counter fighter jets or ballistic missiles, not small, low-flying UAVs. Airbases deep inside Russian territory often have weaker defenses compared to border regions, giving Ukraine an opportunity to exploit. Third, Ukraine's UAV technology, especially FPV drones, allows for precise remote control via Russia's own telecommunications network, possibly even using just a smartphone. To put it in perspective, the distance from Kyiv to Balea is 4,300 kilometers, about the same as from New York to Colombia. Launching UAVs from Ukraine over that distance would be impossible, but by smuggling them into Russia and launching from close range, Ukraine turned the impossible into reality. Operation Spiderweb has far-reaching impacts. First, it shows Ukraine's ability to strike deep into Russian territory, exposing the vulnerability of even military superpowers. Second, the loss of over 40 strategic aircraft severely weakens Russia's long-range strike and nuclear deterrence capabilities. Third, the attack came right before peace talks in Istanbul, possibly a move by Ukraine to flex its strength and gain leverage at the negotiating table. Looking ahead, Russia may retaliate with even fiercer attacks, potentially using tactical nuclear weapons, escalating the conflict further. However, international pressure from NATO, the US, and neutral countries like China might force Russia to hold back. Ukraine could continue using UAV tactics to keep up the pressure, while Russia will need to invest billions to bolster its air defenses and domestic intelligence. In summary, Operation Spiderweb marks a turning point in the Russia-Ukraine war, showcasing the power of asymmetric warfare and UAV technology. With 7 billion in damage and dozens of strategic aircraft destroyed, Ukraine has sent a bold message to Russia and the world. Will this spark an even fiercer phase of the war, or pave the way toward peace? What do you think of this audacious strike? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more in-depth analysis of breaking global events.